Hello and welcome to Soul Simple Life Shifts. My name is Dawn, and today we are going to take a look at the shift from waiting for some external sign and shifting into internal knowing. So again, we're playing with this concept of the shift from external validation, signal, looking out there, to within and connecting to our soul's truth and radiance and really understanding or understanding and being able to discern and decipher the codes and the energetic patterns, and then being able to move from that place as informed also by, to the degree that is warranted given the situation, by other external factors, but leading with that internal, right? So the shift is from the external signs to internal knowing. Let me give you a few examples. So often how many of us kind of learn to operate in this world is to wait for permission to be granted for change, to wait for a signal from some authority or somebody to say, oh, okay, now you can go. Now you have reached the level where you may, go to the next level in the game or whatever. So permission granted from an external authority. The shift from that into a whole new way forward where change, the nature of change itself, begins within. And the locus of control, the decision point, is inner, not outer. Any permission, although I would say we just need to kind of, by and large, as adults anyway, put that whole concept aside. But its decisions come from within, more based and rooted in a mission than permission granted for some specific action. This one's hard to articulate, the permission one, but it's a shift really from this whole I see it as very chopped up worldview, where, I don't know, it feels very robotic to me. I can't even talk about it without laughing. So I'll just leave that one there. So the first shift is from permission granted to be able to proceed or to change or to do something from something external, as opposed to connecting with a mission or a purpose or your soul's truth and radiance from within as the point of origin of any choice to then act or proceed. Another example of this is the idea of waiting for approval, which is very similar to waiting for permission. But this time it's less about okay, go ahead, and more about stamp of approval, like some sign or indication or validation that is given from external sources. The shift is from that into a sovereign choice for self-mastery and that inner activation or agency that comes from a full connection with your authentic self, your whole self and your soul self, and being able to operate from that. Another example of waiting for the external sign versus internal knowing is this idea that we're always waiting to achieve some status or state that then we can do whatever. And I like to think of this one often as we're waiting to go home. We're waiting to for the full thing we really want. And we're waiting for some set of conditions that then we can achieve this, or we can't have the thing we really want until we satisfy all these other requirements, often self-imposed. So again, this external can be can be interior in terms of these, what I like to call the inner terrorist, or these voices left over. Could be the ego, but it also could be parts that we've relegated, to the basement, or the shadow selves within us, and all of that gets super confusing. And so we're always waiting, delay, looking around, almost as if we do not have hearts and minds to be able to make any choice ourselves. So this does relate very closely to the idea of sovereignty, which we've talked about a few times, and of course the exterior shift to interior, external to internal. But this idea of, waiting for the conditions to be right versus knowing we are whole, we are home, we are light, we are life, we are love, we are enough, we are equipped, we are capable. All of those things that we deny ourselves for one reason or the other, or some conditions that we place upon ourselves, or that we borrow from society or family systems or other, school or all kinds of places, what the latest, guru on Instagram said, or what, the Surgeon General said, or, all those external voices. We borrow those and then wait for, looking around, always looking around, waiting. It's never going to come. And so the shift is to knowing within. And that's a hard one to articulate or explain. You have to live that journey. You have to do the work. You have to investigate your internal life. You have to be in dialogue with your soul. You have to begin to listen. You have to be able to hone in and start to discern what it is your body and your soul is speaking. What is your soul's truth? What is that unique, singular expression that only you can bring forward? What are the qualities of being that make you who you are? So it is a lot about really understanding, it's more than understanding. It's more about an immersion in that, in the streams of your soul, and that leads to greater and greater knowing and awareness. And there is a connection to the spiritual, the unseen realm as well that comes into play here. So this waiting game that we play, sorry about that, this waiting game that we play over and over again gets us caught in this, we're on a merry-go-round and we're not actually living our lives. We're not actually giving ourselves the full permission to move, to act, to go, to change, to become, because we're feeling so like trapped in many systems, in the false matrix itself, the 3D matrix, the so-called reality that we are born into. And we're always looking out there and we're checking with other people to see if we're doing it right. Or, it depends on, how you're wired, to the degree to which you might do that. But the shift that's available to all of us is the shift into knowing, self-mastery, the awareness that the inception of change, it's within us, that the decision point is here. It's interior, internal knowing, and not waiting for an external sign. So a Soul Simple life practice that you can do with regard to this shift that will support you is, I call it the waiting game, and signal says. So the waiting game, what is it? Dr. Seuss, The Places You'll Go. There's a part in there about waiting, or just in the waiting room, constantly waiting. That's a good book to go read, because I think that really captures something of the experience that we create for ourselves, and we gloss it over. We don't even realize what exactly we're doing to ourselves until years, sometimes decades have passed, and we're like, oh, we kind of understand it one day. A light bulb comes on and we're like, I've been waiting for some unknown sign to appear, some permission for somebody to say, why don't you? Or for some authority or some system to say, oh, okay, you've done enough. Now you can, explore this. We've got to really, really ground ourselves in the knowing of who we are, and that becomes primary. That relationship with our soul self and our whole self becomes the primary driver of everything in our life. And it also, when we are connected fully to it, it infuses all the relationships and the choices that we do make in our lives with just that unique essence that we are. It brings us more to life. It gives more life to other people. So the life practice, the waiting game signal says, so you simply identify where you are waiting. So example might be, I really want to just immerse myself in the life of being an artist, and I just want to just give myself the space to create, and I want to maybe go to art school, and I want to create a collection of paintings. Okay, it's just one little example. So follow my passions. But I find myself like I've been wanting this thing and desiring it for 10 years. And what am I waiting for? So you identify, what is the waiting game here? Well, the waiting game, in my case, with that example, is I'm waiting because art school's expensive and who knows if it's even worth it. So I'm waiting until I can go for free when I turn X age and my state allows free tuition. Or I'm waiting until I have $100,000 in the bank to spend $2,000 on that course. Or I'm waiting until I don't have to work anymore, so I have all the time, my whole 40 hours a week to create. Or actually, I'm waiting because I'm terrified that I'm going to fail, I'm going to flop. So identify all the game that you have rigged against yourself, essentially. Where are you waiting? Also, I'm waiting for somebody to see my talent. I'm waiting for somebody to say, hey, you're pretty good. Why don't you go try an art class? Or I'm waiting for, you get it. It can be so many things. And also, there are a lot of these things where we set ourselves up for failure, where there's a whole myriad of individual reasons, and then there's all these layers of societal messaging and expectations. With the art example, of course, like, oh, you're going to be a starving artist, you'll never make money, you'll be the laughing stock, everybody will make fun of you, you have no talent, you can't compare yourself to XYZ artist. So where are you waiting? What are all the ways you're waiting? And what is the source, external or internal to you? Where are those voices coming from? And why are you giving your power and authority and sovereignty and point of decision? Why are you placing that in all of these other places? And again, often it's many different places, except the one place where it needs to be primary, which is internal awareness and knowing. You can call that your intuition. It's a little more than that to me. It's not just an intuitive. I see intuition as usually leading us to take an impulse or like take an action, or to remove ourselves from a situation or go toward it. While I see more knowing, this thing I'm talking about that I'm calling internal knowing, as your connection to your soul's truth and radiance, to your star power, your connection to that stream of your soul, the wholeness that runs through you. You came in with particular flavors that then become desires for specific experiences. And we came to life for the experience of life. So this shift from waiting for an external sign to internal knowing becomes more and more important the longer we go along. Because look at how often we delay and we do not make a decision, or if we do make a decision, we do it halfway because we want to test the waters, because essentially we're afraid. This goes back to fear and love as well, and interior and exterior. So the waiting game part of this Soul Simple life practice is to identify where you're waiting, why you're waiting, what are the systems, people, circumstances, internal voices, external voices that you are waiting for. So explore that in journaling or on a piece of paper, or just contemplate that about a specific area of your life that you actually do have a desire to move forward on, but you put you're on red, or you're at the caution light all the time, or you go a little teeny bit and then you pull back, the stop and start kind of thing. Once you've identified where you're waiting, why you're waiting, who you're waiting for, what systems, where these messages are coming from, internal or external, then you want to flip the game, the waiting game, and you want to go to the signal says. And in this case, we're not going to wait for the external signal or sign. Now that can connect to your intuition, right? If you ask for a sign, often it is given in the general sense. But when I'm saying waiting for the external sign as the old way, I'm thinking more of literally you are waiting for permission or approval or some other logical sequence in a certain order. And instead, what I want you to do is shift to the signal says and connect to your internal, your soul, and connect to what do I feel right there? And so the easiest way to do this, if you are already pretty much in tune with your body or your intuition, you're going to have your own way of doing this. And I'm not going to go into all the different ways here, but you need to explore that for yourself. The easiest way, if you're new to this, to do that is just to get really still and think about the one decision or the one thing that you want to move forward, but you feel like you can't because you have to wait. You think about that thing, you've already identified all your whole waiting game, how that's playing out, and now you just want to take a few minutes to breathe, settle in, be still, be in your body, be connected to your soul in the way that you know it now, and just feel into what is the signal saying. And you can think of it literally as a traffic light, green, yellow, red. Although I would encourage you to go green or red, okay, as often as possible. What does the signal say? And just first thing that comes to your mind, green, yellow, red, or yes, no. If you are connected to your body, even if you haven't done this before, you can just ask for your body to show you, is this a yes or is this a no? And you just feel into it, and often your body will move like yes, no, or some other way, or you will feel it in your gut or in your heart or in some other location in your body. So try that. So signal says you want to tune in to your intuition, your body. Another way a lot of people have success is what is often referred to as automatic writing. So you get a journal and you just say, the signal says, and just write what comes. And often, even if you are convoluted at first, you'll work yourself into, if you just keep writing, don't think, go with what just comes out. Trust your soul to reveal what you need to know. Finally, I want to suggest that if you are a person of faith or have a spiritual practice, this is a perfect place to ask for the support you need from God, from life, from your connection to, whatever that is for you. And that's another way that you can expand the way that you're looking at waiting for an external signal or sign. Hope that makes sense. And so this one is shows up like everywhere all the time in way different, like vastly different ways. Like it can show up in things like I just gave you like a little example. Oh, I'd like to explore my art more. It can also show up in really huge areas. Like we had a dream when we were a child, perhaps, to express a certain way, to be a certain way. So in my case, that would be like, freely expressed. And yet, where am I waiting? Where am I playing the waiting game? So even though I might be making this video, for example, I might be writing my poems, I might be painting. There may have been something, I'll give you an example, that I saw as a child where I saw, myself sharing in a very different way. Actually, I'm not going to give the details away, but a very different way that not many people that I know of do. But I saw it and I wanted it when I was a little girl, like of 3 or 4. Like, I saw it, I know it. I may be embarrassed to share it, but it was there. That was in me. And if it was in me, then some part of it is still there. It doesn't necessarily mean I need to put the rest of my life aside and do the thing right now, but it is a good opportunity to ask those questions, to use this Soul Simple life practice and say, what is the waiting game? Why have I not tried that at all? Why am I terrified? Am I waiting for somebody to say, oh, okay, yes, you do have this gift, go? Or am I waiting perhaps to reach a certain level of success because I think I can't like be irresponsible and go do it because this. So identify the waiting game for those things that, like maybe were long held desires in you, or maybe you always saw yourself as having a family and yet you have been very career focused. Well, where have you waited or thought you could not have that, and why? What's the waiting game about? Then signal says, then you want to shift in. So in my case, why have I not done that? That's the waiting game part. And then signal says, what does the signal say within me right now about that? Well, I can tell you, like when I check into that right now, it says it's still possible. The dream is still real. It's still there. It may be not my number one priority, but it is still alive in there. So I've identified that. That's what the signal says. Yeah, it's at least a possibility. So it's green or yellow. And then to refine that, I would ask myself in this case, is now the right time to take some action? So I would intuitively get likely, I'd have to think about this one a little more, but likely an affirmative. Yeah, sure, why not? To some degree. Okay, so then you get more and more refined, and you can go take this into further levels of refinement and detail and direction, and trust that you will be given the signal from within. If you have a difficult time connecting to the yes or no or the red, yellow, green, you might try the journaling, the automatic writing process. You might also simply light a candle and sit there for like 5 or 10 minutes and just think about all the scenarios, right? Like if it's a no, I do not pursue this. It doesn't feel like it has relevance anymore for me. What does that look like as it plays out? And then do the opposite. So like, what if I took some action and I just leaned into it? How could I say yes to this? And what would that yes lead to? And see how it feels. How does that feel to you? And notice what feelings arise, and then further inquiry around those feelings. So say suddenly I get panicked. That's curious, isn't it? Why would I be panicked when I'm sitting in front of a candle thinking about maybe I could take one little step? What is that? That will give you more information about the waiting game, about the voices, where those are coming from. Often they're rooted in childhood. Often they're rooted in what we were told by a person, a group, a system, society, the church, other types of things we learned, or systems that we were taught to believe in, or that we actually really do resonate with, right? So to identify these things can be so helpful, because the more we know really what's informing our decisions, and the more we refuse to keep cutting off our internal knowing, and the more we lean into that and allow for that to be, for the soul to speak, the more we allow for that, the more we will begin to feel better when we do respond to a signal, even if it is external. We will feel better about our connectedness, about bringing the fullness of who we are into every choice and every decision. Okay, so today was about shifting from waiting for the external sign and permission and, green light, green light, green light, waiting for that, shifting from waiting for that to internal awareness and knowing, and checking into that signal within your internal GPS, and knowing that your emotion and your body and the soul's your alignment with your soul's truth and radiance can all inform, because you are being informed and you are in formation, that can all help you to make that shift, to identify why you've been waiting, and then to hone in on the internal signal and or ask for an external signal that's not just a deference to one particular authority, external authority. I hope that was making sense. That was today, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.